I'd like to invite Craig to come up, and if you could use that mic there. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, thanks, Kathy. If I stand up here, can everyone hear me? Yeah. Sorry, you got to do the little adjustment thing.
You need to get more evenly spaced.
More evenly sized speakers. Can I just begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and paying respects to elders past and present on behalf of Queensland Government. Can I also acknowledge the elected reps that are here tonight from the Mareeba Shire Council as well. So we've heard a little bit already from Mark in relation to the EIS process. Do you need me to cover off on how the EIS process works, or do you think that you're relatively clear on that bit? What's the thoughts?
Is it independent?
Is it independent? Yes, it is. It is independent. Strangely enough, it's actually it's a gentleman who was appointed a number of years ago by a previous government and has maintained that position. He is independent to the minister and he is independent to the departments as well. His name's Barry Bragg. Bragg, B-R-A-G-G. Yeah. So he works obviously as the Coordinator General. Now he's the same gentleman, same person had to do the EIS on AQUIS. Everyone here would know the AQUIS story. And I might compare a few things if you let me basically back to that one. So AQUIS obviously proposed the great big, I think it was originally $4 billion project down at Yorkeys Knob, which then turned into an $8 billion project. A bit different to what's been proposed up here because the AQUIS project did have a casino attached to it. But casino part aside, they were still required to go through the EIS process. And I'm sure some people here probably read that many thousand long page report that came out in relation to that. So that was basically a long step down the road from where this particular project sits right now, certainly in its infancy. But the AQUIS project ended up having quite a long EIS report that was done by the Coordinator General. It essentially said, if you're going to go ahead with this, or if Council's going to give this the tick off, here is the long list of things that must be done. One of the things that they had down there that had to be done was an upgrade of some of the road network. There was some specific areas that had been identified. Some of the things that had to be dealt with down there were main roads as well as council roads, and there was certainly things in relation to water supply and sewerage and a number of other things. So they're the kind of things that will churn out of the EIS process. So what we've seen so far is the terms of reference. Did anybody actually put in anything in relation to the terms of reference? Did anybody here put in their 2 bobs worth? Yep. Okay, good. Because that's what has to happen. Without local input, the terms of reference really only just become what state government departments decide that they think is important. So terms of reference by the Coordinator General, then he basically will compile that into a list of things that must be responded to. That terms of reference then goes to the proponents. I'll get to your question if you like when they ask. So that terms of reference has to be responded to by the proponents, and that then goes back to the Coordinator General. Coordinator General will then work through all of that and will then respond by saying, okay, if you want to go ahead with this, this is the line in the sand. These are the things that must be incorporated into a development application, which then goes to the respective council and so on and so on. So that's in a nutshell how that project works coordinated. It has to take into account not only state government but also federal government as well. So if there was also an EIS done on the Trinity Inlet dredging application as well, so that would have had some large Commonwealth government input into it as well. So a couple of points I want to make. The first one is, because we have put KUR-World into a coordinated process project, in no way at all indicates that Queensland Government is supporting or approving of this project. This is a standard response that happens to all developers that come forward with large-scale ideas about what they want to do. There are a number of coordinated projects. If anyone goes to the website, it's the State Development website. I think it might be statedevelopment.qld or something like that. Anyway, you'll go there and you'll see. You go to Google search, you'll be able to see all the coordinated projects that are currently underway in Queensland. It'll give you a bit of an idea as to where they are in relation to their applications. We in no way at all do we imply in any way, shape or form that we are approving of any of these. We put everyone through the ringer. There are no shortcuts. And I made this very clear with the AQUIS scenario when I came to office, and I not only said to AQUIS, but I also made it quite clear down there in the media that we support the process, we support their right to propose that they want to build something, but there is in no way, shape or form any shortcuts or any deals done or any fast tracking or any other words that you might like to use to push these things forward and to cut any corners. So I want to address a couple of things. Now, I wasn't able to make the August 11 meeting that you had up here, and I do apologise for that, but I did have a previous commitment representing a minister at a gig that I couldn't get out of. Now, I got some feedback from that meeting that I saw, and I saw a few sort of things in print, and I saw that I'd been compared to people like Russ Hinds and Joe Bjorky-Peterson and a few like that, and I want to make it quite clear that I personally have absolutely nothing to do with this development, nor are any of these people behind me or anybody else from KUR-World. I have been out to the site and had a look early on because I was interested to actually see it, and I think that I've got every right as an elected member to go out and actually have a look and see what was happening. That was prior to the dam construction. I haven't been out there since the dam was built. When I went out there, it was I think it was just prior to that bit happening. But there was a number of comments made that I was, on the take, that I was, getting donations and everything like that. If KUR-World want to give me a donation, I will not accept it. Now, donations for political purposes now in Queensland are what we call real time. The Premier made this announcement a couple of months ago, where you now don't have to wait until after the election to have a look and see where all the money was given to in relation to politics. The moment that someone gives me a donation, it's online and you can look at it and you will not see a donation from these guys or from anybody backing them. So I'm not on the take. I want to address there was some conversation about the Range Road and also some of the other departmental things as well. So I've had a conversation with Main Roads already about the Range Road and what impacts KUR-World or anything else up in this part of the world will have on that. I've put them on notice that depending on where this project moves down the track, that I'll want to see some analysis done by them as to what they perceive might be the increased loading on the road, times of day, all that sort of modelling, the types of vehicles and everything like that, and some answers as to what needs to happen. The same thing applies with all the other departments. The same thing applies with the ambulance service. I see Leon sitting over here. Where are you, mate? I saw you there before. There you are. The same thing applies with the ambulance service. I'll be having conversations with all of those departments, the fireys, everyone like that. Now, if there needs to be an upgrade of the ambulance station, then we'll upgrade the ambulance station. That doesn't come at a cost to the people of Kuranda. That comes as a cost to state government. Every department that we have has different trigger points for upgrade of various things. So whether it's got to be a new ambulance station built, whether it's got to be another paramedic put on, whether it's got to be any primary health facilities, whether it has to be anything to do with the fire brigade. That's how those things work. We don't do things prematurely in preparation for this. And I'll give you an example of this. So when the AQUIS was obviously going through their thing, I was under a huge amount of pressure from people saying that because of AQUIS, we need to do all these changes to the road network down there. And we couldn't do it. Is that 1 minute, is it? And we couldn't do it because all we had was an application. And we can't be spending hundreds of millions of dollars because we've got an application. We have to wait and see what the end result's going to be, and then I can put all those respective departments on notice to say, okay, what's your response to this? What's your response to that? Some of those responses, as you know, will be infrastructure they need to spend. Some of those might be the way that they do business, because remember, we've got some other like health-related agencies and other ones like Department of Communities and the like. That's pretty much, I think, what I wanted to cover off. But I want to make it very clear that I, as a member, do not have the power to alter, to approve, or to deny this proposal. Everyone is entitled to step forward and say, I want to build something, and they have a right to go through the process. So I will not be out there saying that thumbs up, I'm going to approve it, or thumbs down, I'm not, or I want it, or I will change it this way or that way. When we go into the EIS process, I won't even be privy as to what's actually going through that. I don't have any magical crystal ball. Not even the minister has that magical crystal ball where we can get all that information. So we will go through a process. A lot of that work will happen behind closed doors. I will see the same as what you see whenever there's public consultation happens around these. I'll read the same newspapers that you read and probably get a surprise as to some of the different headlines at exactly the same time, because don't worry, the Cairns Post don't tell me what's going on either. How's that for timing? Hey?
So now, Craig, just take questions as you see.
Up the back.
My name is Margaret. Craig, can you, just two questions. Did you support AQUIS?
In the same situation as this, I said in relation to AQUIS...
No, I'm interested in what you did, not whether you supported in your brain.
Well...
What sort of things did you do to support AQUIS?
I told AQUIS that we would support them if they could get through the approval process, and they haven't.
And what did you do in this case? What would you do to support the local community if they were against this project? It's a question.
Yeah, good question. So will I stand there and say I won't support KUR-World? No, I won't. I'm an elected member. I have to maintain separation. I'm an elected member and I have to maintain separation. It's not my role. It is not my role to get involved in processes. We have...
Question is, what would you do to support the local community in opposing AQUIS?
In opposing AQUIS or opposing KUR-World? Look, I'm quite happy to attend any rallies that you want. I'm quite happy to attend any events you want. Will I go on the public record opposing it myself? No.
Can we just have the microphone over here?
That's a good segue in, actually, Craig, because my question is about the public record. If anybody does a web search, and I did one this afternoon, looking for your name and the name of KUR-World, as far as I could see, there's only one statement that comes up, and that's two sentences that you contributed to the statement put out by Minister Lynham on July the 11th. And I'd like to read one of those two sentences. You said, the site contains habitat of the endangered Kuranda tree frog, but most of the development is proposed for the northern area of the site, which has been cleared. Now, I don't know who you consulted before you made that statement, and I don't know if you even know what's frankly absurd about that statement now, but the reason it's absurd is because it's in the northern part of the property that the Kuranda tree frog is cleared. So to say it doesn't matter if the development's going on in the north is a complete non sequitur. And I think it's very important that if you're going to claim that you take a neutral stance on this proposal, at the very least you make your comments accurate and truthful. And I would like to ask that you correct that comment for the public record.
Hang on, we've got to... Oh, sorry. Okay, well, can I respond to that comment? Firstly, that was the advice that I was operating under. from the departments that I take advice from. If I'm wrong with that statement, then I apologise for it. However, you did manage to sort of segue a little piece in there where you said that that somehow I gave approval for it or something like that. The sentence you read out was in relation to the tree frog and the clearing. If I was wrong in that, I apologise for making that statement, but that statement in no way implies that I am in support of the project.
Why is the clearing and dams being built if the environment study hasn't been done yet?
Good question, not for me though. That is probably a question for the council, because state government doesn't issue permits for dam building.
Can I just ask you that you hold the question until we have the council speaking? So any other questions for Craig?
Yes, Craig, you said that this process was in no way fast-tracked and it just had to go through the processes and you'd support the whole processes. Before we even got to this stage, there's an initial IAS that comes out. Part of that requirement that IAS, the Director General has to follow, the project must have a demonstrated need or demand for a project like this to go through. Could you tell me what that demonstrated need and demand is and where it came from?
No, I can't. Because that's something the Director General would have made the decision
Will
on.
you go back to him and tell him, get him to let us know? Because
yeah, sure.
We're way down this track, and when this should have didn't meet your own qualifications, the government's qualifications.
If you want to catch up with me, catch up with me after, and I'll because I just want to get the exact details from you, and we can follow that one up. That's quite easy.
Thank you.
Someone over the back there.
I don't think Mike there. You refer to this being a coordinated project. Obviously, that means that there are actually risks inherent with the coordinated project. Could you tell me what you see as the risks inherent?
Can I please ask you to use the mic, because we are actually recording this and it's necessary to have...
You're saying you've identified this as a coordinated project, and in so doing, that's the reason for doing that is because there is a risk inherent with it. So I was just wondering if you could explain some of the risks as you see them inherent in the KUR-World project.
Okay, well the risks are quite easy. I think everyone in the room knows it. Obviously there's a risk to the environment, there's a risk to lifestyle, there's a risk obviously in relation to movement of people when we talk about roads and we talk about infrastructure, we talk about public health, we talk about safety and security. Whenever we're talking about large scale projects, and I think it really doesn't matter whether we're proposing or whether KUR-World's proposing to be put at Kuranda or whether it was being proposed to be put at Edmonton, there's going to be inherent risks with everything. And that's what a coordinated process is about. It's about digging those risks out. It's about identifying the risks early and then making the proponents answer to those risks and provide what their mitigation is going to be to it. And then at the end of it, the Coordinator General saying, yes, that's good enough, or no, it's not.
Okay. Okay, sorry, we don't have time. Sorry, we don't have time for your question. Can you just hold that thought though, and we'll make sure that you get that in the 30 minutes that we have at the end? Okay, I'll remember your face. Okay.